Hi, I'm Caroline Labor, and I'm a money mindset expert. Today, we're going to talk about the truth about the law of attraction. So let's get into it. I've always been a huge fan of the law of attraction. It's something that I learnt about in depth when I first read The Secret. In fact, I actually learnt about it a lot earlier than that when I read Bob Proctor's book for the first time. And, it's something that I use a lot in my own life. But one thing that I have found is that so many people question whether the law of attraction actually works. And even people who, really believe in it and love it don't necessarily know how to use it correctly. So today I'm going to demystify that a bit for you, and I'm going to tell you the truth about the law of attraction and when it does and doesn't work. Now, when it comes to the law of attraction, one thing that I can tell you is that setting goals based on abundance doesn't work. Now that might sound a little weird because of course we want to feel abundant. But the issue with this is that words like abundance and prosperity, these are feel-good concepts. So, they make us feel great, and it's so easy to feel aligned to a word like abundance, because who doesn't want abundance? And the issue with this is that if you're going after a specific goal, so say you want to make $100,000 this year or even $1 million this year, and you're focusing on abundance and how great it would be to have that $1 million, the problem is that because you feel so aligned to the idea of abundance, it's not going to highlight any resistance that you might have deep down to making that $100,000 or that $1 million. And people often do have resistance. So, there's this part of you that often tells you you can't do it. And, people find this a lot when they recite affirmations. So they might say day in, day out, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've manifested $1 million by the end of this year. And they might say that every day. But what happens, and people often feel this, in the pit of their stomach, is that you'll say that and part of you is like, yeah, that's awesome, I would love that. And another part of you kind of just sinks, like you might, as I said, feel it in your stomach. And that part of you is saying, I don't think I can do it. Or I've been saying that for 6 months now and nothing's happened. And so you start to doubt yourself. And that doubt is this very resistance that I'm talking about. And so, if you are going after a monetary goal, then words like abundance are really non-specific to any issues you might have around money. So if you've got, maybe a weak money mindset, which typically happens to people if they grew up in middle-class families or in poverty, then you might still feel really aligned to the idea of wanting abundance, but that's going to stop you from seeing any limiting beliefs that you might have, to going after your goal. And so let's talk about, how this all comes together. So how does the law of attraction actually work? Well, one of the best images that I found of, the law of attraction is to picture an iceberg. And when I talk about an iceberg, so, you've kind of got the pointy bit, the top of the iceberg that sits above the water, but then beneath the water, so submerged, is the huge chunky part of the iceberg that, you don't see if you're just cruising along. It's quite disproportionate. So the bottom is always significantly bigger than the tip of the iceberg. And why I, mention that image is that's exactly how your mind operates. So you've got, these two parts to your mind, two main parts. So you've got your conscious mind, you've got your subconscious mind, and then you've actually got a third part, which is, I guess, like the body. It's the bit of you that physically takes action. But all the stuff, the thoughts and the feelings going on, we're going to sort of talk about that in the context of your conscious and subconscious mind. And so if you picture that iceberg, the top of the iceberg, I want you to think of as your conscious mind. So this is the bit of you that says, I want that $1 million. I'm so determined to get it. I'm going to use, my sheer will and determination to go after that goal. That's the part of you that makes decisions, that sets goals, the real active thinking part of your mind. And so if you think about the fact that that's the little tip, There's only that part of your mind that is, really dead set on trying to achieve that $1 million. But what ultimately matters is what's going on in the subconscious mind, which is, the big chunky part of the iceberg, so the bottom bit that's under the water. And I like that image as well, because if you're sailing along, you can't see it. And so much like the subconscious mind, you can't actually see what's going on. It's something that, in most cases, you feel it before you actually, can relate to the thoughts that are going on. But this is the bit of you that might doubt yourself. So this is the bit of you that, when you say that you want to go after $1 million, says you can't do that, or you failed at that before. So that's the bit that really houses what we call your paradigm. So that's made up of your self-image, your sense of self-worth, any limiting beliefs that you have. And by the way, it also houses your empowering beliefs. So if you totally, really believe you can go after something, so the things that come really quite easily to you, that's usually a sign that you've got quite strong empowering beliefs. But when we find that the law of attraction doesn't work, it's usually because we've got really strong limiting beliefs to what it is that we're trying to go after. But the challenge is that we don't even know that that's there. We don't really know what's going on because we can't see it. And so where people get really stuck is that most personal development books, and I can say this because I have about 3 shelves full of personal development books. So I love, reading about personal development and, success. And one of the things that I found that I think is a big misconception is that most personal development just teaches people to go after their goals. And, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I'm a huge advocate of setting goals and setting them properly and going after them. But it has to go hand in hand with addressing any resistance that you might have with that goal. So this is why people, stumble again and again. It's because they're going after the same goal, year after year, but they haven't addressed their limiting beliefs. So again, it's like that tip of the iceberg is saying, yeah, I'm going for it this year. I'm going to set that New Year's resolution. I'm really going to do it this time. No more excuses. But what they don't realize is, it's not because they're not trying to get towards that goal. It's because there's such a big part of them saying, you can't do this. You're not the kind of person who can achieve that goal. And so the subconscious mind ends up finding ways for you to self-sabotage your own actions and therefore your results. And so, one mistake that people make, and I did this, by the way, so, I'm kind of telling you about a personal experience here, but when I read The Secret, one of the things that they said to do, which I really loved at the time, was there was a picture of a check that you could download off the website, you could print it out, and you could write $1 million on it and stick it up on your wall. And then, you could start saying affirmations around that, like, I'm so grateful for the $1 million that I've earned this year. And so I started to do that every day. And I know a lot of other people who did as well, whatever the amount of money may have been for you. And the problem with this is that, again, it's great to go after that goal and to want to feel abundant. But if you've got resistance to achieving that $1 million, then all you're doing by looking at that check day in, day out, and by reciting that affirmation is actually reminding yourself that you don't believe you can do it. So it ends up having this counter effect. Here you are thinking, you're getting closer to it, you're getting more aligned with the $1 million, but actually all you're getting more aligned to is the belief that you can't make that $1 million. And so this is where so many people go wrong, because, here we are chasing after these goals with the best of intentions, but actually all we're doing is fueling our limiting beliefs even more. And so, one of the things that you have to realize if you want to get really good at using the law of attraction is that your paradigm, so that bottom of the iceberg, your subconscious mind, that's really the driving force behind your behavior. But again, because you can't see it, it can be really tricky to, understand what's there and to start working on it. So, ideally it's something that a mentor or a coach can take you through and really not only draw out for you, but teach you how to start seeing, the signs of what's really going on beneath the surface. And so, what I really want to leave you with today is that truth about the law of attraction. And so the truth is this: the secret to getting what you want with the law of attraction is to make your subconscious mind and your conscious mind completely aligned. So the top of the iceberg being your conscious mind and the bottom being the subconscious mind. You want your belief and your sense of empowerment to be completely aligned with the goal that you're going after. And so if it's currently not, the thing that you need to do is to really work on your self-limiting beliefs. So you need to learn how to neutralize those and ultimately remove them so that you can replace that with a new paradigm that is empowering, that tells you you can do it. And when you can do that, you're going to take the right kinds of actions that will get you to your goal. So, the secret is really to get that alignment. So there you have it. Now you know the truth about the law of attraction. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and leave any questions, comments or video ideas in the comments below. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. Also, if you're interested in my free money mindset training, click on the link in the first comment below and it'll take you to a page where you can enter your name and email so I can send it straight to you. See you next time.